Hello, my name is Irvin Rodriguez, and I will present the introduction section of the Group D2 presentation. So here we have our executive summary. The purpose of our report is to provide an in-depth analysis of the data from the World Bank, which is related to employment in various countries. We have included tables and analysis to compare and contrast unemployment rates among the labor force of different countries from 1990 to 2019. From our overall analysis, we concluded that there was no data for American Samoa for any of these selected indicators. While on the other hand, Albania was the only country that had data for all 5 indicators. We also concluded that China was the top country for labor, having around 780,839,528 people in their labor force. Here we have more details. And what we did is we took the WWDI World Bank database and we expanded on it by incorporating additional indicators in our SQL code. We have the 5 indicators here, which are labor force total, unemployment with primary education, unemployment with secondary education, unemployment within tertiary education, and unemployment total. So using these indicators, we were able to figure out the relationships and trends between unemployment, education, and country information. This is our physical ERD. We have this built up off of the WWDI World Bank ERD. However, we incorporated more details here. We have character types, multiplicities, and cardinalities. And here we have continent table is tied to continent country table by way of the continent code foreign key. We have the continent country table is connected to the country table by the way of country code. We have country data table, which is connected to the country table by the country code foreign constraint. And finally, the indicator table is connected to the country data table by the indicator code. And in our mandatory analysis, this is made up of questions that are provided by the professor. These are the 9 mandatory questions. And from these, we were able to analyze unemployment rates between the countries.
In the first analysis question, M1, we found those countries that do not have data for any one or more of the 5 employment indicators. There were a total of 21 countries that did not have data, and 10 of the countries are shown in the table. The majority of the countries, with the exception of one, which was Seychelles in Africa, were on the continents of North America, Australia and Oceania, and Europe. In contrast, in the next question, M2, we found all countries that do have data for all 5 indicators in employment. This resulted in 130 countries, with the majority of them being in Asia. All the other continents except Antarctica had countries with data. In the following question, M3, we take a look into the total countries that have data for each of the 5 indicators by name. They include the total labor force, total unemployment as a percentage of the total labor force, and also percentage of total unemployment in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. From the data, we can see that 186 countries have data in the total labor force and total unemployment indicators, while the 136 countries have data that relate to the unemployment in the education sectors each. The next question, M4, takes a look into the top 10 countries of the most recent value of one of the employment indicators, which our group chose to be the total labor force indicator at the end of 2019. Out of the top 10 countries, China had the highest labor force at the end of 2019 with over 780 million workers, while Nigeria was on the lowest of the 10 with just shy of 60 million workers. The United States came in at third with a little over 166 million workers.
List all continents with the corresponding most average value of one of the indicators. No hard-coded data for the most recent. Now, in M5, we're comparing the continents with the average total labor that they have. Asia has the highest average, while Australia and Oceania have the lowest. North America falls in the middle of the chart. For M6, where you ask, show all of your indicators in a table of values for the US with indicator codes as column names and dates in rows. Sort the dates in increasing order and make sure to include the entire range of dates for your indicators. In M6, we're analyzing the indicators within the United States from the years 1990 to 2019. There are null values in the years 1990 to 1993, as well as from 2015 to 2019. The null values are for the indicators as follows: unemployment with primary education, unemployment with secondary education, unemployment with tertiary education, and the only cell with a null value in the total unemployment category is from December 31st, 1990. For M7, pick one of your indicators and calculate the average percentage of growth for each country for all years 2010 and later. Round the average percentage to 2 digits and order by decreasing average. M7 analyzes the average percentage of growth for each country for 2010 and later. Out of the top 10 countries with the highest average percentage growth, Oman has the highest percentage of growth, while Chad has the lowest percentage of growth. The continents that these countries are in are as follows: Asia and Africa. For MA, use exists to find countries which have 2011 data for any of your indicators. M8 is analyzing countries in 2011 which have data for the indicators. The table shows the top 10 out of the 187 countries. The continents that these countries are in are as follows, with Europe having the most: Asia, Europe, Africa, South America, Oceania, Australia, and North America. For M9, find the countries which have 2011 data for all of your indicators. For M9, we're analyzing the countries that have data for all of these selected indicators in the year 2011. The table shows 10 of the 86 countries. The continent that these countries belong to include all of the following, with Asia and Europe containing the most: Europe, Africa, South America, Asia, and North America.
My name is Jennifer Hunt, and I will be going over the additional analysis section. For the additional analysis, we chose to focus on unemployment indicators in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. For question A1, we are going over which 10 countries on continents had the highest percent of unemployment in secondary education in the year 2014. So from the results, we see that Europe and North America both have the highest unemployment in secondary education. Specifically, Czech Republic has the highest with 71.8% unemployment, and Hungary has the lowest with 59.1% unemployment. For question A2, we are analyzing which countries on which continents had lower than 50% of total unemployment in primary education in the year 2014. From the results of our analysis, Europe and South America both have countries with less than 50% unemployment in primary education. From the top 10 out of 34 countries, Italy has the highest unemployment with 43.8%, while Germany has the lowest with only 31%. For question A3, we are looking at which countries on which continents had the same unemployment rate in primary and in secondary education in 2014. The results from the outcome are the continent Europe and the country is Italy. The unemployment rate is 44% in both primary and secondary education.
Question is to use exists to find all countries which have at least a single record of unemployment in tertiary education in 2014. So basically the result comes up with country names, And for the analysis, we concluded that A4 displays countries that have at least one record of data on unemployment in tertiary education in 2014. There are also 38 countries in total that have data. The results show 10 countries from the total, and many of the countries also have to be European. And basically, European education has some high unemployment is basically what the end of the conclusion is for this question. And A5, calculate the percentage of growth in total unemployment for each country with names for all years 2000 and later. Round the average percentage growth to 2 digits and order by decreasing average percentage of growth. So basically, the result is that it comes up with both country name and the average percentage growth with a range of 5 to 15%. Table A5 displays the top 10% or the top 10 out of 186 countries and their average percentage of growth in total unemployment for all years after 2000. It also showed that Pakistan had the average percentage growth, and almost all continents were represented in the top 10 countries. So basically, to summarize, after analyzing all the questions and compiling the data gathered, we were able to see the various information regarding employment throughout the different countries. When comparing the analysis done of the questions provided, we can see that there are some interesting observations in each of the results that were generated. Many continents had appeared multiple times in focusing on the primary, secondary, and tertiary education unemployment levels. Overall, the continents that had appeared the most frequently were Europe, Asia, and North America. And last, China had the largest total labor force, and Asia overall had the highest average total labor percentage. Anyways, that concludes the presentation, and thank you for listening.